Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining for the second sessions today. I'm part of the professional service of ARIS. I've been working in the team for the last 15 years. Today we'll be covering the customer journey. First, we will start with a demo. I'm trying to get now working. Basically, the customer journey, there's a set of diagrams that we usually will have it in the system. So basically, there are a whole group of models that naturally they are being developed by ARIS in order to support the customer journey. So part of that one's basically, let's start it first to create a separate group in here to start to work in this. As we were talking last, can you see my screen, is it? Just before I continue. Last time, and there are a set of models, so those models are completely created exclusively for the developing of the customer journeys. Part of this one, basically, we can start it in the same way as we do have it in the process side. So we will have what we can call it a level 1, which is the customer journey landscape. So the customer journey landscape is a very simplistic one. Which is this one. This one is also done. This is what's going on now. Just play the mood. That's what's going on here. God. If you're looking again, will work. Sorry about this. It doesn't really like me, is it? When I have to do the demos. Maybe wrong. That works. So the customer journey landscape is exclusively being created or developed to create a level. We can say that a level 1 in that one. So usually we'll just have those two objects in here, which is the customer life cycle stages and the customer journey. So the stages, we usually will have a kind of, we call it life cycles of that one, the journeys. So it will divide it, from the moments the customers start a relationship until the time. So basically, the awareness, the research, the awareness, the buying, the retentions, and then still leave. So naturally, we will have a point that the customers will stop with the relationship with us, for any other type of reasons. But basically, this is when we started with our customer journeys awareness of. This will be my canvas set in the level 0 of this one, so level 1. So this one will be the first life cycle stages. Then it comes you can put as many stages as you want. That's your problem. So we have after we buy, we have our retention or support. And then finally we have our leave for closure. Is the wrong one. So in this point, we're talking is this is in the stages of life cycles, and each of these ones we will have a journey of those ones. So the customers we will have a journey with us, which will be able to start into getting in the point in this. So there's an associations in here. So as you can see here, we have an associations that we can start to build the customer journeys in here. So you can either create directly the associations connected to that one. So you can see here is associations called Encompass. So basically it's a combinations of each of those ones. So, or you can embed it directly inside of that one. So either way is totally fine. There's no wrong or right to do it in that one. So it's more like how they will look nicer. So you can create this views in this way to say, okay, this is the customer journeys, and start to build your customer journeys inside of inside of this of the customer stages. So in here you will start to build your actual customer journeys. So in here you will start to say that, okay, this is my customer journey. So usually the awareness will start with the research. So product need. So here the research. I usually tend to like it to put it embedded because it's easier. Put some space in here. So you can see, you just put as many. I'm just making up those ones in here. So basically, and then you can be able to connect to each other as well. So basically, it will be the same. It's very similar as we do have it in the value-added change diagram. So we usually have it for process. So in this case, it works in a very similar way. So we do have the level 1, which will be your stages. So you classify your different stages of the journeys. Life cycle of the customer journey, so you can classify them in that. And then inside of this ones, you will start to put your actual customer journey. So you put inside of those ones the customer journeys itself. So you started to define them. And then you can start it also to build what we can call it a life cycle as well. So in there, like what happened first and second, or if you wanted just to keep it simple as well, you can create it just the whole end-to-end of the journey here. So you can create a whole end-to-end of the journey, set it what type of information you will be capturing within the journeys, and what is first, second, third, or fourth. So you can also create more like an end-to-end view instead of this one. So you can set it, okay, we don't use the stages. Maybe the stages, we just put it as kind of a header step, and we utilize more that like the end-to-end, because that's sometimes very nice to see it as like end-to-end, and who is the owner of each of these customer journeys as well. Inside of here, we do have a set of attributes that we usually have it in here. So we can set it, which is the business driver of this one. So you can set it is in the customer experience, social media, technology. Oops. The overall customer experience of this please, satisfied, upset. Put customer experience in here. This one we can say that, or we can say or internet or customers online and all that ones they're thinking they're satisfied. And then you also get if you get it business drivers, if you do wanted to also say that what type of impact we can have it in that one. So driver impact transformation, if we do it and transformations, if we wanted to have it in here, so incremental changes or known or significant impact in redesigns or requirements or new capabilities. So you can classify them as well in here and say all that information is available around this. So there are kind of link informations we can always use in here and making sure that So again, we do have a template as well, which is the customer experience management, which will be activating this information in here. So all this icons in here will be easily for you to able to classify them, so say which ones are the informations we actually captures in there. So as you can see, if you remove any of those ones, the system will start to system. It's this one, the one that and start to remove those ones. If you put none, we'll have different informations in there. So again, you can put all the different informations and the system will be capturing that in the system and looking for that. So this is the attributes as well. You can also start to build some descriptions around this one as well. And if you want it as well, if you want to put an ownership around. So there's an ownership I want that you can also build and you can be able to identify certain information in there. So this is the first level. So as we can say that this we can consider as the level 1. So this is my level 1, and they will be the ones that we're going to be using for building this customer journey landscapes. From here, basically, we can start it to develop, which will be the detail model. So this is an assignment again. So we can create an assignment from here. And against this is the customer journey map. So in the customer journey map is what we call it is a kind of a matrix view. In the customer journey maps, we will be able to identify or touch points. So remember, the touch points will be the points where we will be connecting to our internal processes and all the different information we have. So this is basically what we call it the customer journey map. So in the customer journey map, we do have much more attributes. So, much more objects to display. So in here, we'll be able to display much more information. We'll be having different, different objects where we can actually see it on the banner. The reasons for that is because we can create much more details in here. So in here, we'll be building much more details around the systems and the journeys as well. So first, as you can see, we have the customer journey steps, which will be usually going into the top. So as you can see, the systems create you what is called a matrix view. So this matrix view by default always comes with the customer journey steps, which is this one. So one of the things in this models is that each of those cells just accept one type of object. So if you try to push anything in here, like I try to put a position in top, you can see the system will not like it and doesn't allow me to place. So this is something that is basically how the system does when you build this type of when you build this type of models that each of the cells each just accepted one type of symbols and only one. Or it would be maybe some of the others, like, you know, if you do have an organization unit, you have different clarifications of the same one, you could be able to add them in there. But in general, it just is allowing one or two of them. So you can see here we have the journeys, touch points, ownerships, risk, internal processes. We do have more options in here as well. So if you wanted to add more lines type, so we can always have the channels, the motions, initiatives, inputs, KPIs, output requirements, and systems. You can add all these ones in here. So if you wanted to have also the channels where this is going to be. So as you can see, you can also move it up and down as well. So whatever your preference are, you can start it to move it up and down, and then you build this one's up and down as well. So you can be able to say, okay, wanted to move it in there, I wanted to have this way. So usually we'll have the journey steps, because this is the basically where we have it, each of the steps and what are the touch point in each of the steps. Move the touch point. And if you selected each, if you say that we're not maintaining any of this information, you just use the recycle bins and we'll be deleting the color, that type of cells. Also, if you say that we also wanted to use the systems, and also if we wanted to use as well the we have any input and output data. So in this case, we have already started to build my diagram. So this is my diagrams where I'm going to start. So on the top, I have my customer journey steps. So if I started to build my customer journey steps, this is So basically, I'm starting to say, okay, this is the stages, the journey steps when we are browsing a product. So it could be a product, could be a anything, you know, maybe you're looking for a travel destinations to go on holidays. You started to look for the different options you can have it. You investigate, you know, and look and investigate it for my options. I started to, you know, browsing in the systems and all that. And I could do maybe some comparisons of the different, and then started to read some reviews as well about the products, maybe also about the suppliers in that point. And in here again, we have the options to again create it predecessors and successors. So you can be able to start it to build one is next to each other. So if you wanted to build it in that way, you can always connect it to each other in that way. So this is how you connected, started to connect it kind of an end-to-end in type of view. And that's basically where we will put it all this information in that. Again, as this point as well, we do have certain information that we can capture. So again, so you can also utilize the same attribute we had it for the customer journey if you wanted to exclusively start to classify this one. In general terms, I don't usually thinking is necessarily to put the same type of information, but if you're exclusively working in one of the customer journey steps that you said it, okay, we know that the experience and the overall experience in this point is not very good. So like say, when the customer is investigating, we know that somehow it's not being satisfied or it's being upset because or URL is not exactly the most friendly one. It's hard to find information. So usually you will get that type of information through surveys, like now every time you go to any systems, they at the end they will ask you, can we take a small survey, or if you have it as well, so how is your overall experience? So through surveys, through like at the end of the day. So sometimes when you have a call with this customer services or everywhere, you basically can get a kind of a surveys to understand the experience of the customers as well. So you can also put classify them in each of the journey steps as well. Then we can start to set the touch points. So we're actually they started to touch now. So some points maybe the customer is looking for products and is not exactly at that point we do have any touch points with that, but there might be some cases that the customer started. So basically so this is what we started to call is all touch points. The touch points again could be a digital touch point. So maybe customers just digitally started to do the lookup of the product. So they just say that, okay, I just it just started from directly from the system from or digitally. So maybe that's our first line of approach to do any research now, especially in the days we live. Maybe we do the first the product awareness through online, or it could be through social media, or it could be through the different friends search engines. So we do have multiple options in how the customers could do a lookup of our exclusive product. So, or maybe the customers as well. Sometimes we can say that the customers, already had the need of that one. So we can start it to kind of introduce them different options as well, because sometimes we can say that the customer is looking for a product, but also we can have it and another product as well in that one. In here we have as well the and again the touch points could be multiple. Don't necessarily say that like this exactly say that one touch point per customer journey steps. Maybe, as I said, some of the steps might not even have any touch point with us. So that point is sometimes we will have just the stages of them, but let's start in like customer identify a need of a product. It might be that it happens previously, or we can actually influence the customers to think they have the need of that product. So you can have the stages to say that, okay, the step as well. We have a different touch point in some other parts. We might not have any touch points in that. Um, So basically, this is our customer touch points. As I was saying, the customer touch points is where we actually start to work on, because that's where we actually gonna get connected to the different components as we do started to develop customer journey map. So this is where exactly we will be starting to build all that information. Again, there's a lot of points in here that we know that the customers will be the touch points will be. So as we talked last times, well, we have at the moment of truth. So basically it's make it or break it. So this touch point could be a make it or break it to the customer. So I said, okay, we do have at this point is if like when you open the screens and you look for the pages, we need to make it as quick as possible because it's the first step. So if the page is too overcomplicated or the product doesn't meet my needs, basically will be a moment of truth. So it's and then you can put a small descriptions. So as well is the importance. So you can in the same point it will be a moment of truth, but also could be best practices as well or pain point as well. So if I said it, like the customers found that is overcomplicated, it's a lot of information that we don't have it. Maybe like maybe they found it that's too much information. So we can start it to classify each of them. So maybe again, this is another moment of truth. And this will be another pain point, too much information. Again, also we are able to the importance to the customers. So if the customers consider this is a low or average or high, so maybe because you already have a kind of you know that you have a need, so maybe this is in the high levels in there. To introductions of the products, maybe we consider that as an average. So again, not all each of them you'll be able to say, okay, this is a high level or low. So you can start to define it in there. And also, so you have customer goals. So if you start to define what the customer's goals are and the expectations of the customers, so defining what the expectations of what the customers are looking for. And again, is you don't really need to be starting to build all that information into one. As I said, everything comes into cycles as well. So it is once we have all this identifications of this journey, and we will start to build all that information. Not all the information must be captured. As again, we don't need to say that all this information need to be captured into one. We can always build some of that information when as we come on the way. So you can say, okay, we started to build the data and we started to do discovery. We are still in the discovery plans, and you can start to fill all those ones as well. So again, you can say what are the feelings of the customers in this touch point. So we can say that it's a neutral, and this one is the data products. We say the customer's feeling is positive. It's new. And here they should be always positive now, the feeling. So you get started to put all these informations in there, capturing that. Then it comes the channel. So basically where the channels, the different channels that we can start to serve this simply. So the touch points. So we just say that, you may have an online. We do have maybe the apps. Yeah. So the online maybe is the way the customers do some investigations of the product. So they might go online again or in the applications. Maybe do some social media as well. As I say, some of those touch points will be physically, or some of them will be digital as well. And again, you can do a first copies of this information, and then you'd be able to identify for that information there. So the comparisons maybe they do through social media, my online systems, and the apps as well. So not every single steps will be exactly the same channels, and the different channels will be in there. So there are different ways of we say that, okay, this is the different channels we have it to serve this point in here. I was as you can see, the system started to build relationship on the background. So you can see here, even if they are just placed it onto ourselves, they're actually relationships with the backgrounds. Each of these ones has different relationships where we can start to see that that relationship. So even the cells are not connected, you don't see the lines crossing or anything. Each of those cells actually on the backgrounds are building itself at the information. Then we decided to build an ownership as well. So we said that this is stages, this step is owned maybe by my digital team. Here maybe product management. Or maybe here is marketing. It's making up this one, so don't think it is all correct. So then we knows that which is their own by. So then we'll say that maybe the whole customer journey is owned by part of an organization, but each of the steps might be owned by different and touch points. So that. So as you can see here, we started to put more information around this one. And then we do started to have some kind of other information that we can also started to build. So maybe in here we can start to put some risk as well. So maybe these steps we have the risk that the system break, the risk of So I have put it to there. In here as well is data, so input and output of data. So in this case, basically, you can use always the information carrier. So if there's any documents that you wanted to set it, maybe we do have an input is emails. You can say if we do have in here as well some You can always put all the inputs and outputs in here as well. It could be an input of generate data. So maybe, you can set it, okay, this is in here. We also need the product data. Then all this information again is up to you. So you'll be able to add or embed, enrich as much as you want. So not every single cells will be built. Not every single cells will be combined in there. So we can always put just, like in this case, maybe the inputs in here is feedbacks data. So not every single locations we will have a lot of inputs and outputs. So in some cases you might actually have just very little. Some others you will have loads of information. So that's what is not in every cell you will have it. So generally touch points against it might be. So if you do have a touch point, you tend to have a channel where the touch point happens. That's normally ownership as well. Not in every customer journey step or touch point you will have a risk. Not in every single place you will have information in there. So this is mhm. So we do have different information that we can be able to capture, and then against any systems that you have to support that as well. So if you wanted to have the systems that you tend to support that, you'll be able to also add it in here. So if you said it, I do have systems in each of these ones, we just put the systems. Maybe exactly the same systems all the way along. So we just have it, or maybe more than one system, because as we said it, maybe having the different and then it comes where we connected. So we were saying is that where we started to connect it to your internal processes. So this is where we started to connect it to your internal processes, and you can started to put in here my internal process in here. It could be the full process, like you said, we can put the full process or the activity itself with this touch point happen. So it might be that when you're developing your processes, you just put here directly your step, or you put directly your process itself. So I said that this is my process, or maybe this one is. In general terms, basically, we have started to capture. This is what we can call it customer journey map. So this is my customer journey map. I have started to build a lot of information around this. You said you can enable information related with. You can see here is now is all the information is related with my touch point. All these different information, so you can see is owned by digital, is owned by product marketing, is specified by different channels, and it has different risk as well. So if you see here, they have a different risk. Everything in here again is all this one is actually connected to touchpoint. So we do not have any information that is not connected to the touchpoint. So if we save these ones, we do have now information that ones. If you would like to have it like when we're doing the discovery, you can always have an assignment, which is the allocation as well. So we do have the customer touchpoint allocation diagram. So what is actually this one is maybe you're not utilizing this one because you find that it's too much information. You can always build a touch point exclusively for a touch point allocation diagram. So it works in a very similar concept as we do have a function allocation diagram. It's one-to-one. It's not creating a unlevel or anything. It's just to get all the information in here. So you can again in here, you can start to build all the information in here. So if I wanted to put it, I just put the place the relationship. So basically, we do have all that information available in here. If you don't want it to put all that information in the customer journey maps, you can also enrich the information on the background as well. It's the same as we do with the with our steps over the processes that we enrich information using the functional allocation diagram. This one is the customer allocation diagrams where you can enrich that information and put all that information in there. So let me save it. Do you have any questions so far with this diagrams or anything? So you can just feel free to get any information from here. So again, I was telling you before, we do have a set of information that you can also manage in here. So we can put the customer journey owner as well. So if you wanted to put a customer journey owner in defining here, said, okay, this is my customer journey owners. It can be fine here. So this is a nutshell, basically what the customer journeys are, the customer journey maps are. So Zedia, the key three elements in here is we do have a customer journey a landscape, which is we're going to call in the level one. So we're basically just started with your life cycle. You build your life cycles and also your customer journeys itself. The next level, which is basically where we started to have descriptions of the customer journeys using customer journey steps, touch points, channels. So all that information is around the touch point. And if you feel like this diagram is getting too busy, you can always build this information on the background utilizing the touch point allocation diagram. Again, we have I didn't publish this one, right? Just quickly go into here. Publish quickly the diagram. So again, all the informations can be displayed in here. So you can display it again. It's the customer touch points, the moment of truth, owners, risk, initiatives that you may have it, the customer journeys, the customer experience, business drivers, and business impact information. So all that information is also captured in here. You can capture and again you can define it also that information in the different fact sheets. As we know, the fact sheets are quite friendly, so you can also present that information. Another point is we do present it as well as a set of reports that you can use as well. Enable users. So this is the information we can get from here. So it's basically it's more than an infograms in their information. So it takes each of the customer journey steps, the touch points, or the positive, neutral. So the point of the feelings, and then we have the if it's a moment of truth or is a make it or break it, and if the feelings of the customers as well. So you can see the moment of truth, the descriptions of the moment of truth, the pain points, the information. If it's a moment of truth, what are the descriptions of that moment of truth? Is the pain point? Is what is the information in there? And also if it's a sorry, and if it's the best practice as well, if you have added descriptions, it will be provided in there. And also it give you a percentage. In this case, 50% of my customer touch points are also pain points, so we can be able to, information that we can put in here, so we can always put in there. So a number of processes, so the processes that are affected by the pain points, so we can have it in here as well. And then the importance of the feelings as well. So it's a diagrams. It's a quite a friendly way to basically display that information as well. So we can display this information in this kind of quickly way. So you can have it in the view. Maybe people like more this type of view. So you have captures all that information, and then you have this this files like this, which will give you all that information. Well, again, it will capture information if you do have it on the touch point allocation diagrams, if you have provided that information too. With this one, I'm going to finish the demo, and then I will start with my presentation. Okay, now going back into the presentation. So we are starting with the presentations. Basically, we going backwards now. So I have to presenting you what the tool is fully capable in that one. And now we will start to talk why is customer management, what customer experience management means, against what ARIS. I will show you there's a few more other diagrams that you can also utilize in the system. So you can always utilize those type of diagrams in order to support your customer journeys mapping. And the two approaches that we usually will have it, and the conclusion basically. So what is customer experience management? So the word. So basically, we will need to understand why customer journey is so important. The main reasons is the world is changing again. So every time we turn around, something different is happening. So we do have the competitive challenges, so new competitions, increase of price pressures, and copy of a business model. The customer challenges, so we have omni-channel distributions, cross-industry benchmarks, best-in-class service delivery. So we know that there's a lot of pressures, like if you order something, you want it the best delivery as quicker as possible. The benchmarks are very, very competitive. Like you will, delivery would be like previously would have said that every time you wanted to deliver a product will be 3-4 days. Now it's basically you're not expected to wait more than 24 hours. There are different ways of distribution as well. We do have different ways of now acquire products. And also the different ways of delivering those products as well. Also against technology challenges. So we do have a lot of technology challenges at the moment. We will have a lot of channel, especially because technology changes with a very rapidly way. So basically, we will now every time we turn around, we do have something much more advanced challenges on that one. So we wanted to have a personalized kind of technology for the customers. We all have the cloud, mobile, and social. Reviews are becoming more and more important every day. So we need to make sure that all this information that we have is not bombarding to the customers, but at the same time, we have always to be presented. The Internet of Things. Now we also have AI. So it's all this is constantly changes, and we have to be constantly developing ourselves. But the understanding of journeys make it that much more easy. Again, we have a product challenges as well. So if we talk about this ones, we do have as well a whole challenges of products. So we have to have very innovative cycles, much more personalized services, and better and faster support. So you know that we don't like to wait now. We usually say this, we have to have personalized support to the different customers. So the customers will always say, oh, we need this, we need that. We all the times need to make sure that all the support is given appropriately to the appropriate teams. So again, it's a new strategy. So it's time for a new strategies. So you do have in the plural structures in the digital world, market structures get blurred by innovative companies. So every time, especially from the world that we live, there's always some innovative companies coming down the way, and we always have some ways that they just basically shake it out the market and they shake it out completely the way of buying or selling things, and also the ways of we support our customers as well. So new business models will improve new industries. So we try to, every time there's new business models introduced, all these innovative companies try to integrate a new ways of models, and that's basically try to compete to each other. And also against it, the structured startups identify pain points and offering alternatives to satisfy customer needs. Sometimes they identify some exclusively touch points and then pain points, and then they will try to be more innovative and making sure that customers get better support that. The other one is the new logic, sustainable competitive advantages to lose important in the accelerating world. Companies have learned how to exploit short-lived opportunities. So as you know, that the opportunities are very short, and we have to make sure that we exploit that ones and capture new arenas. Recognitions of opportunities, but based on deep understanding of customer needs, become one of the core digital skills. Again, we need to have very agile processes in the digital world that require agility, stability in most of dangerous situations. Success means developing the stability ability to continue to recognize and reallocate resources. So we know that where our customers need, where actually we will need to reallocate of resources, and also also to make it to stay successful, establish a common dispositions to break down silos mentality and have it to mind to delay innovation. So, as we know, this is the way we call it variations as we didn't have it previously. So, 25 years ago, to buying a blouse, we have just could buy a product 3 or 4, maybe 4 different ways. So you can say we have the black arrows in here. This is where we usually will say that was previously on the way of buying a blouse. So basically store and in catalog. So that will be my two options 25 years ago. So if you go directly to the store or you buy through catalogs, you order face-to-face, you pay in cash and you pay stores. So that was previously how, we will be able to get us that information there, or maybe paying with a credit card. And the catalogs, basically, you will be through the phones or directly emails. So we're not having emails. Well, we're talking about more like 30 years ago, but we didn't have mobile apps, we didn't have websites and emails either. So the two ways of buying was basically through the phones, and then you get invoiced for the phones and the parcel is delivered to your house. Now, as you can see, you do have so many different combinations of buying something like that. So you can do your product research, either in the stores, you can do through the catalogs, web shops, mobile apps, social media, telephone shopping. So, and then from there you can, and then you can do multiple combinations of the all. So then from the stores, you can either order face-to-face, through the email, through the phone, through the mobile app, through the website, directly mail. So now all those different combinations, if you can see how basically you have thousands of opportunities and how to start your journey in order a blouse. So you can see things get more and more complex. Even the delivery, we can get delivery directly to the stores, or we can pick it up by directly in the stores through a parcel services, through the emails, dropping stations. So many combinations possible that we need to make sure that we are aware of them. and trying to combine, all the different possibilities that we can now have it is very, very hard and very difficult for us to start to understand that. So the idea in this one is bringing all together. So bringing all together means that we will have the right offers in the right times, in the right place with the right cost. So in here, we basically we will be able to have customer centrics, and then we will understand which locations we serve our customers and what type of channels we use. They identify the profiles of the customers, the type of transactions they have it, and social media as well. So in there, we basically will be able to build this difference in order to get a better service to the customer. So at the end of the day, what we needed is to make sure that we do have a better service to our prospects and to our foreign customers. So making sure that we understand what the customer needs. Our services must be top quality. Where are the pain points? Where are the moments of truth? Understanding the different aspects of the journey with a customer. So this is something that is why so important, why customer experience matters, why so important. Numbers don't lie. So in order to win a new customer is 6 or 7 times more expensive than keeping a current one. So we need to make sure that as we work a lot with prospects, we need to make sure that we keep our customers happy. The reasons for that one is because, as I said, you're expensive. It's very expensive. And also because loyal customers are worth up to 10 times as much as the first purchase. So basically, we will have it as a recurring customers, and they will keep expanding their footprint with us. They will keep buying from us. They will keep increasing their footprint with us, and also they are loyal to us. Again, takes 12 positive experience to make up 1 negative. Especially now that you can go to Google and read a full review of a product or a service. So we know that every time we go some things, we will have loads of information available for us in order to understand that one. So this is if you look into that one, at negatives, we can just filter by negatives, and that negatives may actually have to have at least 12 in order to make up the negative one. So that's why we have to be very careful what's said, and also because we are not able to remove those negatives feedbacks, or because what happens is they are always available, always online. Customers are gonna be always able to go and read them. And 80% of the buyers will pay more for a better customer experience. So we know that if we go to restaurants, we're expecting like a full service, and the service should be basically expecting we get the best for that. Sometimes we said the food was amazing, but the service is terrible, so I'm not going to go back. Maybe you say the service was great, but the food was bad. So we always need to make sure that we do have that balance that between the service and what we deliver for. 78% of the customers won't purchase again after a poor service. So as I said, sometimes we said everything was perfect, but we do not have, we don't like that. We don't like the services. We do not like anything that is related with other guys, because we found that the services was really bad. Everything in there was not great. So we do not go and buy that. A bad services reaches more than twice as many years as praise for good service. So again, we do have, when we talk about our experience, we tend to be more descriptive about a bad experience than a good service. And that's why we need to avoid as an organization to have that reputation to get a bad service from us. So we know that we talk about services a lot because we need to understand our customers, but in general terms, a bad services reach more ears. So people will be more descriptive when they talk about bad services than when they will talk about the good services. So this is all the numbers, and that's why it's so important to have a very good understanding of customer journey. So there are 2 approaches, as we call it. There are 2 different approaches to talk about customer journey. So again, there's no good or bad. It's more what affects you as an organization. They are the inside-out perspective. Basically, basically started from me as an organization, and then I come up with in that. So I capture business requirements, design the business process, and then identify the business scenarios and the risk, model process data, and the test the process scenario. And then basically then will be designed with the touch points inside of my process. The outside in approach is the ones that we design the customer journeys. So we design first of customer journeys, and then we identify our customer touch points and define it of moment of truth and the pain points. Then we are able to define targets and KPIs, emphasize customers' emotions and evaluations, and evaluate actual journeys. And then we plug them with your process. So again, and then well-designed touchpoints match both perspectives and lead to the customer centricity. But basically, there's no good or bad. So a lot of us as an organization, we do have a lot of work in our internal processes, and maybe separating going on as well, like customer journeys, or the different, the designing of the customer journeys, and then they actually join together through the touch points. So those perspectives get connected to each other through the touch points. As I said before, the touch point is the ones that match both perspectives and then lead to customer centricity. So if we have a high customer values, a company values, it will be a high customer satisfaction as well. So how do we actually improve the customer experience? Asking the right question. So do I need customer experience management? Why so important customer experience management? How is customer experience management related with the corporate strategy? We cannot say that we have an organization and we do not think about our customers or customer centricity of our organization. Even even if we talk about always a customer externals, sometimes we do have internal customers as well. Like a lot of maybe the back offices of organizations, they do have internal customers as well, and they have to understand that one as well. And how customer experience related to how do I craft customer experience management for maximum value, business value? So we talked about as well. This was said how we actually maximize the value. So a lot of times it's not just about the best customer experience, the best products, but also how to maximize values as an organization. With all this information is how we can maximize values. And how does customer experience management help to create and manage better customer touch points and experience? So again, the touch point is exactly where we work. It's our centricity is where we have to make sure that we understand them, we define them clearly, we design them clearly, and we're able to connect it to internal processes in order to make sure that we are able to provide you with improvements and initiatives. So then there's the customer experience professional roles in the customer experience management as well. So we do have a lot of questions about who is responsible what, who is doing what. So how to actually get into this processes, so the different voices we have it. The first is the voice of the customer, so customers' needs and expectations. The best organizations take an outside-in approach to build processes around customer interaction. So basically, they will have a lot of information related with the customer interaction. So they have already customers, they're understanding the customer needs and expectations, and then we started to build all those customer journeys, the customer information, touch points, and then they started to make sure that they connected to the actual process itself. Then you also have to, of course, a voice of the business. So what are the business objectives and constraints? We cannot design that and customer management or our customer service management if we know that as organizations it cannot basically provide that one. So for that reason, the leading organizations reflect and adapt their processes constantly to ensure process efficiency. So basically, we know that we have our processes, we understand where organization is capable to, then we are able to say, okay, this is how far we can go, how much we can improve, how our process can be improved in order to deliver a customer experience. Also, there's a lot of cases as well when we talk about this is when, as UN organizations, if you try to make an improvement, how much of this will be affecting of the customers. They sometimes, as some transformation programs, upgrades that happens into, maybe you're going to brand new platforms. We always talk about having the IT infrastructure, the perfect infrastructure to serve our customers. But then if we understand where exactly and which touch points will be affected through this, we clearly will be able to have a better communication with the customers. We will be willing to support the customers if something goes wrong. If something goes badly, only badly, we will be able to react quickly as well, because we understand where the customers will get affected and how they will be affected. And of course, it comes the last one, which is the voice of the markets. So the current trends and market requirements. So we know we work a lot with the marketers to understand what is the latest trends, the where we are going to that one. So it's permanently reconsidering market trends to recognize changes of new advantages in the market field. So we know that constantly we need to combine all those three. The reasons is we have to work all together. Externally, what is happening with our marketers, what is happening with our customers, and how much we can actually we can connect it to objectives as an organizations, and what are my constraints. As I said previously, if we try to make changes into our organizations, but we don't really know how much we actually can stretch from the constraints we do have it as an organizations, not always going to be able for us to provide all that and make all the changes we would like to. So then we will start into the touch point, as I was telling you when I was doing my demo. The key part in here is to make sure that we understand the touch points. So we understand what are the touch points, analyzing them, the relevance of an impact of touch points. So the touch points, as I said, is the key. This is where basically we design it to connect our internal processes with the customer journey steps. So there are three types, as I was telling you when I was doing my demo. So they are identifying as a moment of truth. So the importance of that touch points where a business can make it or break it, the relationship with the customers, is known a moment of truth. So it's identifying and improving the moment of truth is getting the first priority. So as we have said it, okay, we do have this one as a moment of truth, because it's the exactly moments we know that is making a break. Also, we understand as well in here is the preventing the pain points, getting the customer experience wrong as a moment of truth has a bad effect on the perception of the business. Identifying pain points and transforming them into good experience is a basic principle of success of customer success, the customer management, journey management. So each of those ones we will be able to say that where actually we will have it as classifications of analyzing my touch points and then reach the best practices. Identifying and improving customer touch points and moment of truth must always have a goal to reach best practices to satisfy customer satisfaction. So, some of not always is a bad, not always is a good one, but we will be able to say, okay, this is a best practice, and this is something that we do know we do well. We do very good, and we'll be able to replicate them as a best practice. And that, of course, we cannot forget about them because sometimes great, but we're doing a great job. But we forget that we always have to keep an eye on that, because improvements might always need to happen. We always know that something is changing externally in the market, maybe internally as an organization, or also customer has changing the way to do business. So this is basically for us to identify for customer touch points and analyzing them. This is a template, basically a quick template that we can use as well. So we can start to build in each of these ones. So first will be the stages, as we do have it in the diagrams in the customer journey landscape. So this is basically where we're talking the stereotype of the profile. So we'll be able to identify the stages of the customer journey. So we said it, the awareness, explorations, purchase, use, assistance, and evangelism. So they're basically there. And then we started to build the customer journeys, train the customer goals. What is the customer trying to achieve? So this is my customer journey, say what I'm trying to achieve. And then this the touch points. When, where, and how does the customer experience your organization? Basically, we said it when actually which point of this was we achieving in the organization. It was positive and was negative of this one, where this one happens, when this one happens, and how the customer experience us. Then we always have the customer tone, what's the customer thinking about as they have this experience. So this is why we have a lot of service coming through. You know, every time we have relationships with any organizations now, they try to push us to complete a survey. Even they said you're gonna get €100, £100 if you complete the surveys. Why it's so important is because we have we need to understand what are the thoughts of our customers. And again, says what we can actually improve. What are my improvement ideas and how we actually be able to improve this? So starting said it, okay, we do have all this information, but also I started to capture improvements of how we can do better. As I said, we can always do better, but of course you can classify it as the best in my best, so we know that we are the top in some of the touch points. Not every touch point I said it will be a pain point, not every will be a make it or break it. And some of them we actually might be based on the practice in the system. So again, coming back into ARIS. So how ARIS can support us in this. So we touched today the customer journey landscape, the customer journey map, and the customer touchpoint allocation diagram. As I said here before, you do have all these different diagrams that we are able to utilize in order to support your customer journey mappings. You're able to have all these different cycles in order to prevent attempts to be to make sure that we have the best captures in there, so we are able to select which ones are the ones we can utilize, and we can be able to say which ones are my main one. Then the first one we have utilized today is the customer journey landscape. Again, recapping that one. It's where we are going to having the customer journey stages and the customer journeys described. It's a very simplistic map. Very little information need to be captured in here, but it's where we have an understanding point. So we will be able to say where are my starting point, and then we'll be able to say, okay, this is my starting point. This is where we are gonna start working on my landscapes. The second one, just we said it is the one that is in my customer journey maps. The customer journey maps, again, was the ones we were working at as an assignment of the customer journey, which will be including the customer journey steps. Then the customer journey steps will be describing each of the different steps that we will have it in order to mobilize them. And then in this in customer journey maps, we will identify the customer journey steps, and also each of the which will have also each of the different each of the different touch points, identify for different touch points, and from those touch points, we're also going to be able to identify if this is a moment of truth, pain point, or best practice. So in each of these ones, the pain points will be, and also we can start to describe why of those touch points I consider best practices or not. Then we do have also then we can have the owning organizations, any risk, input and output data, input and output documents, files, and that. Also, we'll be able to have channels in there. Then we have a customer touchpoint maps, which is basically a catalog of all touchpoints. We can have it as a catalog of touchpoints and just loads of information in there, where we have been able to identify what those touchpoints maps and then put it all in there. And the same as well, we have the touchpoint allocation diagrams. If your customer journey maps gets too busy, you can always utilize the customer touchpoints allocation diagrams, which will be able to contain a lot of the information that we might be not capturing in the customer journey maps. We can utilize the customer touchpoint allocation diagrams, and then we are able to get that information in there. As you see clearly in here, we do have the four ones on there. There's a new one. There was a new model that also is being added. Is the customer segmentation map. So if you would like to create a segmentation of the customers, you can also start to build in here. So the customer segmentation is helping you to segment your customers and making sure that we identify how customers are being built and classified in that. So the customer's journey mapping in ARIS basically is one object matched two perspectives. So basically, the two approaches. So the perspective of the processes and then the perspective of the customer journey. So the value-added change diagrams and the customer journey landscapes is similar, represented a higher level of description. So they can correlate to each other, one for the processes and one for the customer journeys. So the customer journey landscape, so we can consider that is, so we can call it a level 1 or level 2 that we usually utilize for the customer journeys as well. And then in the other ones, we have the value-added change, which is correlated to each other. The customer touchpoint sets both perspective into relation. So in the customer touchpoints, we are going to be able, so we develop our customer journey maps, we identify the customer touchpoints, and then you can connect it directly to a process step. So either in a BPMN model or also in an EPC, and you can connect it directly to the activity. Or if you want, you can also put it in the customer journey maps. In the customer journey maps, we can be able to connect it directly to the process. Or the activity as well. So if you wanted to put it directly, or if you wanted to physically represent it into your diagrams, to understand what basically the values of touch point. So I said, okay, this is my touch point. The touch point is in this activity. We can always place that information directly in that activity. So you can always place that activity directly in there, and you're going to be able to connect them to each other. So the perspective of the customer journey and the perspective of the processes connected to each other. So we have the value-added change diagrams, and then they get decomposed in an EPC. Customer journey landscapes get decomposed in the customer journey maps. In both perspectives, we do have a customer touch point. The customer touch point is the point where we will be basically views in that one. So against the EPC, the EPCs or the BPMNs and the customer journeys maps describe the same processes on detail. So they basically, we will have different perspectives and different views. So in one view will be describing my internal processes, and the other one is describing my customer journey. With the customer journey steps, touch points, and all the information related with that touch point. The design of a customer experience, so the model of a customer journey map. So the model of a customer journey map is the journey from end to end. So you will define the end to end starting from your step. So we started from my step, and this one is headed. Each of my steps will have, what are my customer journey. So we have my customer journey, and then in my customer journey steps. So in this case, this example is customer advice and services. And basically, we do have, customers is browsing for a car. So we just basically started to set all the different customer journey steps. So we just basically started designing from that ones to just the several journey steps. It's kind of a framework of activities what the customer is doing. So we just said it. This is the framework of activities what the customer is doing for this customer journey. And then we define the touch point of the customer, the corresponding journey steps. So like saying in the answers, dealerships and be welcome is the welcome to the local leaderships. Determine the requirements, the matching of the desire. So all these ones will be touch points that will be mapping against the customer journey steps. So then we specify the touch points by particular attributes and object associations we can have in there. Again, the customer journey step might have to improve by traffic light symbol. So you can see the customer journey steps. We can traffic light them and identify that information. And then always try to emphasize which ones are the touch points, which is the moment of truth and the best of the practice. So this is very good to start in that. All the different informations, as we said it, and it's nice to have it. Ideally, we should be able to capture a lot of the information already. Some of that ones might not have it, so like maybe you do not have initiatives about. Again, a customer journey can have multiple customer journey maps connected to them. The reasons for that is maybe you do have the same as processes. We do have a customer journey that is the ARIS, and maybe we're trying to develop the 2B, and then we can be able to do some comparisons to see where we have those improvements happen. Again, we have as well the different, customers, like the different maybe location wise as well that you wanted to do comparisons. How you're doing customer journeys, maybe on a regional basis or a country basis as well. So the cluster of customer journeys or design a customer journey landscape. So they give you the summary of all important customer journeys. Relate customer journeys to a life cycle stages for a better classification. So again, the stages are more used for the classification, so you'll be able to classify it in there. So as I was telling before, so we have the awareness. So the awareness is basically a promotions of considerations. Then you do the selections or the browsing of the products. Then you go to the customer advisories, apply the reward programs, maybe registration. So, and then the purchase, the usages, and the recommendations. So the customers, when it's they can be able to recommend us in a good or bad way as well. And then we can be able to define the business drivers and their impact on transformations and emphasize certain customer journeys necessity for redesigned by using traffic light symbol. So basically, you can say that, okay, I would like to redesign this one because we will need to have a new processes and capability. We completely need to redesign this customer journey or incremental process impact as well. Again, we be able to interact with our business processes. So basically, identify the business processes which are depending on customer interactions. So as we always say that we map our internal processes, we do not map the customer processes, but we need to identify where we interact with our customers. We are depending on customer interactions. A lot of our processes are front-based customers, some others are not. But the ones we will need to understand them, and that's basically utilizing the customer touch points. Relate customer touch points to functions that they are interacting with them. So basically, we connected the activities or the functions directly to the touch points. Said, okay, this is my touch points, and we related to them, and we connected to them. Reflect the process regarding what could be improved and how the process could be more comfortable for the customer. So, change perspective to identify new enhancements. So usually, we're using the touch points. We'll be easily identifying which ones of the processes are much more depending on customer interactions. If we redesign our processes, how much we will be affecting to our customers, and how is the feeling of our customers. So if we identify that a lot of those touch points are being identified in the processes, but the feeling is being, so as you see in the PDF that I generated, you can connect it and say the system will tell you, okay, all those processes are connected to a pain point touch point. So how we can start to improve those ones. Said, okay, I find this design of this customer journey, but now that I'm actually looking into the details, a lot of my processes have been affected for customer journey touch points that they are being identified a pain point. So in this way, you said it, we are joining those two words. Again, we have as well the touch point allocation diagram. So the touch point allocation diagram is the ones we usually utilize. In the same way as the function allocation diagrams we have it. So basically touch points with the relationships. It can be generated automatically. So as you can see, we can just remove directly from the function to the customer journey maps and connect it directly into here. You can also draft. It's utilized as well a lot for drafting and draft all the corresponding objects in the touch point. So basically, you started to draft documents and said, okay, we are not 100% yet into the customer journey maps, but we would like to start to draft all the different components of that. So we can utilize this customer touch point allocation diagrams. Also, if your customer journey maps is starting to get too busy and too overcrowded. And then we can assign touch point allocation grams to separate define multiple touch points. So remember, one touch point, one function, one customer allocation diagram. So it's one or the other. So it's not like we can match multiple of the same. It has to be always one-to-one. So it's not creating as a customer journey. You can create multiple customer journey maps. And this one's a customer touch point allocation diagrams one-to-one. Again, it's not a hierarchical. It doesn't create any hierarchical, financial. These ones are only created in order to create all these different corresponding objects to one touch point. So if you just wanted to open up and say that for my touch points, I wanted to see all the corresponding elements. This is what you use for. And again, we do have as well the touch point maps. So if you would like to have the touch point maps is where you can do a clustering of the same. So if you want to clusters all of them, or you wanted to clusters exclusively by certain information. And so basically you can just clusters all of them. So maybe you wanted to cluster all the ones that their customer touch points they're related with and owning by A organizations, you can combine it all together and put it into diagrams like this ones. Or you can also do the information we will need. So you said, okay, I do have all these informations and customer touch points. Maybe I wanted all the ones that they are pain points or the ones they are moment of truth to get a separator so I can actually get an analyze and presenting instead of to the organizations. So this information is the ones we will have it as an information that we can actually verify in them. So this is how we can also cluster them. So we don't have like kind of hierarchical in this one. It's more a clustering kind of a library as well. We can actually start to use informations and we can actually start to build all this around that. Again, we can identify, it's a kind of a cell-based, so kind of matrix view. So we'll be able to connect the touch points with our touch points with our organizations, the owning organizations, and also if you wanted some extra information like channels as well, it can be connected with that. So we can have ownership, risk, channels, initiatives, and KPIs describing in this allocation, in this touch points maps diagram. So the selections of the best moment of truth, so how we selected the best moment of truth with existing customer feedbacks, employees feedbacks, customer immersions, and new customer experience strategies. So this is how basically we're able to select the best moment of truth. So we need to understand. So basically a lot of the information we basically understand is through the customers, but also through the employments, because the employers and the people who are serving the customers will be able to say, okay, usually at this point is when the customers take the decisions to go ahead or not, or to stay or to leave, or to renew or not. So all that is basically we'll be able to give it. That we need to make sure that is all in there. So we just make sure that and then it's the customer experience strategies as well. So that's basically how to can identify. So we go into the customers, the report. So the customer journey report. So as you see it, it's a very nice report. It's a PDF report which you can be able to identify in one view. So we are able to identify the all this, they decided, okay, we identify all these different points in here, so we will be able to provide it all these informations, and we are able to provide it all in one single report. So it's a PDF document that can be generated by customer journey maps, or you can also generate it from directly from the customer journey object itself. And offer an overview experience. So basically, customer journeys report some of all the important information. So we'll be able to have all these important informations into a glance. So you'll be able to set the customer journey steps, which are my customer journey steps, which are the different customer journey touch points we will have it. If it's, the journey steps and then the touch points for each of journey steps. And what are the feelings of these customers, the journey steps. The customer touch points in here will be described, said which are my customer journeys and customer touch points, sorry. And my customer journey touch points, what are the feeling in that one? If it's a pain point, a moment of truth, or a best practice. And descriptions of so this one in the top is the customer journey steps on the top. On this ones in here are the customer journeys, customer touch point. So if you see that moving in here, it's because if it's a pain point will go down. So basically, because it's a negative feeling from the customer, so it's what we have it. So in here is the emotions or the feelings of the customer. So we said it's a positive, neutral, or negative. So you can see how they started to move in here. So it's a set of how they move it. So you have the matching desires in here. So we have the customer. So you said this is the matching desires of here, how the card is presenting, and the moment of truth pain points are describing in the bottom here. So all this information basically gets grabbed from your customer journey map. Then in here we come, the touch points. So your customer touch points are pain points. So how many of these ones are pain point? In here we just have one. So 70% touch points are pain point. 50% customers are pleased. So as you can see here, the positives are 3. So they basically 50% of them are completely pleased. So that means is that. And then your internal process are affected by pain points. Is once and maybe this touch point is connected to internal process. So you have one internal process that is affected by a pain point. And then we have each of the touch points. Oh, sorry. Or each of the touch points define the importances and the feeling. So as you can see, the systems provide you a nice view that also you can just share with the customers, with your stakeholders, when doing some analysis as well. Again, this one's also was answering the question someone should ask is we cannot make changes directly. You can request to be encrypted, so they can decrypt that once, and then we can actually go from that. We also have, again, queries and spreadsheets, which are just at the moment still available only in the architect and the client, where you can do some analysis of that one as well. So there are queries that we can utilize that in order to maintain the data. And also, to create queries to obtain certain information and receive graphical overviews of the journeys. And then of course, you can identify and cluster touch points and find risk initiatives and facilitated touch points. And also there's the Excel, which allow you to actually maintain data as well. You're going to be able to do some maintenance of the data directly in there. But again, this one sadly is still in the clients, it's still not available in the web. And then you can utilize as there, whoever has still access to the clients, you can utilize those queries. Those queries are available there, so there's nothing you need to do. They're all available for every single customer as long as they are on the client. Again, so the ARIS again supported the inside, outside, out. So going back, we were saying more on the how ARIS actually support you that ones. So ARIS again support you in the both approaches. So I support you in the bottom up, top down approach. So inside, I help you too because we'll be able to analyze from inside out. So basically, you started to identify your customer touch point into your business process. So this is basically how a lot of customers we will have already a lot of business processes, and then you started to identify your touch point and derive the customer journeys from your EPCs or BPMNs. So you identify the touch points, and then from there you can start to derive your customer journeys directly from your EPCs or BPMNs models. And then in the same times you can start to analyze your customer touch point and identifying if it's a moment of truth or a pain point or a best practice. And then you can enhance your customer experience, and then you can accordingly update your process modeling according to the journey. So if you can see, a lot of customers might actually start from that point because they will actually settle what are the informations that we need to make sure that is captured already in the process, and then we're actually we rely on our customers touch points in that. But at the same time, ARIS as well can support you in the design from inside and outside in. So break down the customer-centric strategy so into achievable business objectives. Start to clustering the journeys and touch points, and then the model the customer journeys, identifying a specified touch points and related initiatives to the business objective. And then again, from there you can start to create your business process to have to improve your business processes, being the backbone of your corresponding journeys. So as you can see, you can start it from both sides. In ARIS, there's no restrictions, so you can do it from both sides. And again, the touch points are the coming back into the relationship to both perspectives. So either way, so whatever decisions you take it, whatever approach you take it, we can always get supported by ARIS. ARIS will be able to define it any of the two. So again, what are the benefits? The better customer interactions and better customer satisfactions. Identify gaps, issues to recognize opportunities, take advantage of new technologies, develop innovations, measures, enhance the measures and KPIs to reduce brand waste, and create a customer loyalty, increase revenues, etc. So having a good customer journeys maps will help you. And the whole thing is not just creating the customer journey maps, understanding to where the customer interactions happens, identifying all the gaps and all the analysis, but also at the same time connecting to your internal process. So as you said, our internal processes, we can clearly identify where we do have a customer touch points, and we will have, we are relying on customers, and which of those processes will clearly, any changes on those processes, any activity on those processes will be starting to affect it, the customers in a good or a bad way. So this is very important as to understand that, okay, all these customers touch points are mapping to our processes. It's not just creating a customer journey maps, is also connecting to make sure that they are connected to internal processes, because they cannot be treated as an insulated thing. Because any changes we do as a part of the organizations, they will get affected to internal processes, but any initiatives that might be taken through the customer journeys that they might not be affordable or might not be possible to implement it, we will need to make sure that our processes are also affecting that. So this is why, having the two words connected is very good. You will have a lot of benefits in there. So again, there are several ways to start on your project. So starting inside out from your existing business processes, or starting outside in with the customer journey landscapes. Again, any of the two approaches are all acceptable. There is nothing good or bad in any of the two approaches. They are usually different teams working in different the two different approaches. Sometimes we actually meet up in the middle. So the process teams has already identified the internal processes or initiatives related with the processes are in one side, and then we will have the customer journey teams developing their own customer journeys, and then we can join them together. As I said, the touch points are in the middlemen, which will be joining them. We just join with all this information and where everything will be connected to each other. So this is give you the opportunity to say that in both, we join in both worlds. We are not leaving them isolated. We're not leaving them in a kind of way to say that, just leave it everything into the sitting in there, just, separate ones. They have to join together. Any initiatives, as I said, there are 3 layers in the customer journeys. We have the customers in the organization, the internal organizations, and also the market. So joining through the processes, we understand what the organization is capable and learning from the customers what is possible as well. And also we are also able to understand who is doing what and what is deliverable to what. Again, this is a journeys maps as you'll be seeing on your examples. So all these examples of how how it's been mapping the customer journey. Like a customer journey is defining like this ones, and then they can be mapped in that one. So it's basically a journey map that it can be descriptions. It give you very similar feelings as you do have it as the report we have created. So here are some examples as well for you to gather. So there are some examples that retails a customer journey map, and where you can actually see an example of the retail markets, where you can go through and identify. So when you receive those slides, you clearly can see the different information that there are there. Some examples. The same is account opening as well. So we do have 2 examples, one from the retails and one from the financial institutions. As against, there is no difference between organizations. We always have to interact with customers. So there are 2 examples in there where you can actually start to build your customer journeys. 2 examples for you to get it into the information. With this one, I have completed my presentation.